an Egyptian triangular version of 1.5, 2.5, and a whole one. By adding 1.5 to the 1-2-1 isosceles triangle, we can get something very similar to an Egyptian hieroglyph. In Egyptian hieroglyphs, some glyphs seem to be more significant than others. Take as an example the Ankh. Most people know it means life, and it turns up in lots of pictures and carvings to do with the Egyptian gods. In Egyptian writing, the Ankh is often paired with another glyph, Ja. This means give or to give, so together they read, gives life. This also seems to have heraldic meaning as part of the union of Upper and Lower Egypt, where Upper Egypt has the Ankh and the Ja, whilst Lower Egypt has the glyphs Right and Ra. Again, they can be seen as a group to give the phrase, like Ra, gives life. This is said just to highlight the fact that in Egyptian hieroglyphs we cannot just point to a hieroglyph and say what it means in one word. Looking at the glyph Ja holds ideas like pulsation, perspective, geometric progression, rotation. Within the Ja, journeys from the macro to the micro and from the small worlds to the big worlds seem to be evoked. The farmer plants the seed, and the give is in the growth. From life comes life. There is a beautiful unfolding set of geometries and mathematics that come out of a diagram called the flower of life. Rearranging the circle groups give us an equilateral triangle 3x5. Could it be that the 3 cosmic and the 5 evolution are the same source for both the flower of life and the 2x1 and the golden triangle? The Babylonians showed deities where some specialized in 3 through 5, mind over matter, and others specialized in 5 through 3, development through the body, like dancing. Given the Egyptian own understanding of the significance of numbers, the 2 being feminine and creational, and the 1 being masculine and godly, could their own version of 5 and 3 appear in their own powerfully transmissive triadic statues? Fibonacci, PHI and Growth. In spring, deciduous trees like oak produce new leaves, and during the growing season more leaf sites are generated, so that there is an increase in the number of leaves on the tree, which is good for the tree because they are all capturing energy for the tree to grow. Then, in the autumn, the leaves drop off, the tree goes to sleep, and when it wakes up, it starts to spout new leaves from its leaf sites. The number of sites is more than the start of the previous year because the new sites produced in the summer are added to the sites it started with in the previous spring to give it its new starting point. We can say that during the start of any year, the total leaf sites equals leaf sites of last spring plus the leaf sites made during the growing season of that year. Following this through gives us spring 1 plus summer 1 equals spring 2. Spring 2 plus summer 2 equals spring 3. Spring 3 plus summer 3 equals spring 4, and spring 4 plus summer 4 equals spring 5. Note, it's the spinning of 4. In this example, it's the 4 seasons. This in structure is very similar to the Fibonacci series, where A equals the number of leaf sites for a chosen year and B equals the new leaf sites grown that year. If we make A equals 0 and B equals 1, then we get the classic Fibonacci series: 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, etc., etc. And when we divide the number in the series by the previous number, the result tends towards a number called phi. This is true for most numbers and can be seen by comparing the classic A equals 0 and B equals 1 with, say, A equals 1 and B equals 1000. This led to the idea of having A equals 1 and B equals phi. At this point, the Fibonacci series and the power series of pentagrams are identical, with the extra that the pentagrammic series can be split into two. Then, by replacing the odd series of pentagrams with pentagons, we rediscover the diagram of the mother pentagon. As my dear old mother and this 9,000-year-old bowl shows, we have pentagrams at the ends of our pentagram. If you're interested, there is a good site you can go to that introduces many of the properties of the Fibonacci series. Just a word of caution: it's very easy to get caught up in all the numbers and concepts, so it's a good idea to go out into the park and see for yourself how the planet applies Fibonacci. When looking at trees and bushes, we are seeing Fibonacci processes at work. Looking at these pictures highlights the fact that each site is given space to process sunlight, or space for the bees to get at the flowers, or space for the fruit to ripen. It can lead to the idea that growth is a field that permeates everything, and that all life needs to be connected to this field to be able to grow. Looking at some plants and trees with so much blossom, it can make us think about why there is so much. Could it be that the field of growth is so strong in a particular frequency that the planet has to get its life forms to go into overdrive just to use up the frequency? Do the colours of the blossoms indicate the kind of frequency that is in the growth field? What might the shapes of the petals and leaves imply? Could it be that the Fibonacci series and the pentagrammic structures are not just interesting sets of numbers, but is the way that the growth field interacts with life? Once we are adult, can we continue growing? Is the area around our heads a potential area for growth? Many cultures point to the possibility of halo structures around heads, like this 12th century dish from northern Syria. It shows the halo structures with an added cone on the head, very similar to the cone that is highlighted on Egyptian musicians. Is this part of the growth potential for humans?